for the 24-25 school year. We were super efficient this year, and we will conclude our annual task this evening today. So that's something to celebrate. So first in our order of business is old business, where under this agenda item, we approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Our meeting was held on February 4th at the middle school. This is a consent item, and there'll be a motion to approve and a second to the motion, followed by a yay or nay vote of current SSC members who are here. All members have the opportunity to review the minutes over the past week from the February 4th SSC meeting. Are there any comments or questions or corrections from the SSC? Okay, hearing none, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 4th SSC meeting? Okay, thank you, Rachel. And is there a second to the motion? Okay, Matt, thank you. So it has been moved by Rachel and seconded by Matt. The February 4th SSC minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed, say nay. Great. I see we're very efficient. So next on our agenda item is our advisory committee report. Our DLAC, that's District English Learner Advisory Committee, has a standing opportunity, an important role with our SSC. We are pleased to have Michelle Guarino here to share the DLAC's annual needs assessment. And just so this needs assessment was presented to the SSC last month, and it is incorporated in our findings in our LCAP program evaluation. So Michelle, if you can kind of outline the needs assessment, I can pull it up here, and then also your meeting tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. So for the needs assessment, we had our February DLAC meeting, and at that meeting, that was when we did the DLAC needs assessment together as a community. We used the data that I think we had shared with SSC last month as well. We went through different data points, and then we also took a look at a survey of just our multilingual families from the fall. And so we used all of that information to come up with some recommendations. And so I would just want to give you a summary of that, of our current needs from that February meeting and some of the recommended focus areas. 2 out of 3 areas are repeat areas from last year from DLAC. So that's, these are coming up with families still. The first one is the families of English learners would like increased targeted reading instruction and intervention TK through 8, both during the school day, as well as before and after school. That was a hope for them. And then the next area, this wasn't the repeat area, it was in regards to family engagement and just really wanting a stronger school and home connection in support of English language learners. And they specifically had some different ideas, parent universities in Spanish on how to support beginning readers. We have those kinds of parent universities, but these parents really want them done entirely in Spanish so that they feel really comfortable asking questions. So it's different when you're sitting there, with a headset on and you don't want to speak up. And so that was a recommendation. More support in understanding how math is taught in our school, and more information about sleep routines and attendance, those kinds of things. So the other area that really stood out as a return area of focus from last year is just that understanding of the LPAC test. So even though we have as one of our legal tasks that we explain the LPAC to the families, we talk about how English learners are identified in the first place. We talk to them about reclassification. This is still an area of concern from our family. They want to better understand it. And so we're trying to figure out, like, how do how do we bring them all on board? We do maybe sometimes during the school day, do we look at some different opportunities instead of just the DLAC meetings where we can really just build that capacity for our multilingual families and their understanding of the LPAC so that, you know, when they better understand it, they can better support their students. I did want to talk about one other area, not connected to the needs assessment, but since this is the final SSC meeting of the school year, I wanted to share that our English Learner Master Plan that we started working on last year as a school, we've continued to work on with key input from our literacy specialists on both campuses. It's also been shared with staff members and multiple revisions. And so we are ready to present this for the first read at this upcoming board meeting on March 11th. You will have Bo, I don't want to say his last name incorrectly, Boucher, Bo Boucher, our literacy specialist from the middle school, presenting, as well as Sean Powell from our elementary school, presenting, first of all, you know, what we do in support of our English language learners. They're going to be talking about that. We'll be talking a little bit about the LPAC, and then I'll go ahead and share that English Learner Master Plan first read to our Board of Trustees. We're excited. Any questions? Yeah, any questions?
I did get a peek of it too, and it's interesting when you look at other schools' sites, that's what you see. And so we are well in line with that. Well, thank you, Michelle. Any questions or comments for Michelle? Okay, so next on our agenda would be our new business. And we have 3 items under new business today. The first item is kind of our hefty work that we did this year. And we are going to vote on our 2024-2025 Local Control and Accountability Plan, Title I, funded program evaluation. All SSC members have prepared ahead of time, so we will proceed with our vote tonight. Just so you know, this is an action item that will be accomplished by a roll call vote of individual current SSC members. There will be an opportunity for further discussion prior to our vote. There'll be a motion to approve and a second to the motion, followed by our secretary, our SSC secretary, Rachel. She will be asking individual SSC members for their votes. Ayes, nays, and abstentions will be choices as a vote. We will attempt to vote on the program evaluation with one vote, but pivot as necessary to voting on each individual evaluation if required. We have 3 parts to our evaluation. We are making 3 recommendations, and so we will go over each part of the recommendations, and then I've asked SSC members to come to the meeting prior to our vote to kind of share something of relevance to them, and they are particularly think is noteworthy in this program evaluation, but also maybe even the process of the program evaluation too. That's also helpful. Any questions of how we're going to proceed with this item? Okay, wonderful. So full circle, we have AEA receives Title I funds. These are the part of the funds that we are accountable to, where we look at how the funds are currently allocated, and we did a program evaluation based on how the Title I funds were allocated. This is a first year that something to this level has been done. So we're super excited about this process. We have 3 evaluations, program evaluations that were funded by the Title I funds. And so we broke it down into 3 different evaluations. The first evaluation is where Title I fund, AEA allocates Title I funds to support a portion of, and I put it in quotes because this is kind of on AEA to figure out a real name for a summer bridge concept. That is the idea of new people coming into AEA at the kind of typical times, like sixth grade. But also, I know that there were other kids, like a first grader and a seventh grader who came in doing that. So we have Summer Bridge in quotes until a further name is identified. So super exciting. We collected quantitative data and we collected qualitative data. We identified an LCAP goal. So on the very left-hand side, it's a little bit of a beast, as Rachel said, trying to fit all this in a 5 by 5 grid. But I think it turned out pretty cohesive. This format is taken from the county. So we use the county document as an exemplar for our document. So everybody's had a chance to look at this. It is addressing LCAP Goal 2. This is AEA's current LCAP Goal 2, which is under the idea of increasing overall academic and in quotations of literacy achievement for all students grades K through 8. And it also can fall under AEA LCAP Goal 3, which is create structures that close the achievement gap and support the needs of targeted groups such as English language learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities. We highlighted the English language learners because that really was our focus, since AEA has other groups that focus on those other 3 groups. I don't know if we need to go through all this because we've all had a chance to read it, but we are making recommendations based on our evaluation of data. And we felt very positive about this initiative. And we are making recommendations to what can be modified based on the evaluations. And for this one, it's mostly not modified. It's just how to make it deeper and richer experience for our newcomers coming to our school. Something super exciting for this is we did collect student voice. We had a survey, and Matt Basola was really instrumental. What a neat partnership with middle school on this, and that we really kind of kicked this one through the middle, and we really appreciate all your efforts in making sure that students filled out their survey and just gave us so much information. So for this one, we are recommending that AEA continues this activity next year, and we are recommending that it is a good use of the Title I funds to support a portion of this concept. Would you agree if I should just go on to the second one, what we're going to vote on? Okay, so the second one is probably the meaty one. Although the first one was meaty. This is our second program evaluation based on how Title I funds are allocated at AEA. Hi, Brian. Welcome. Take a breath. I'm doing all the talking right now. You're good. So this one is the Title I AEA. We are a Title I school. We allocate Title I funds to support a portion of the reading interventionist and ELD, English language development specialist position. And again, this one is under the AEA LCAP goal number 3. And again, really pulling out the English language learning. We have many things that we identified as really working. I think we can all conclude that having leadership for these really unique groups is so important. And our reading interventionists and ELD specialists provide that leadership for this very important work. And we again gained student voice. We had a survey that Laura Anderson was able to have a few third and fifth graders fill out. And it's always great to hear student voice in this process, which we thought was really, really beneficial. And then, of course, through this process, we did identify the data and our English learners and how they performed on the CAPS level data. And that really is something that continues to need to be looked at. And they deserve our attention. And we highlighted that, but we also highlighted that there's no way that this is a specialist job. It really is a tier 1 teacher. And with the leadership of these specialists. This is a teacher tier 1 initiative and continuing thought to make sure these students are successful. We have recommendations that we will be presenting to AEA with these leadership positions, getting the specialists input on these, currently what they're doing, and ways that we think that they can lead tier 1, that means teachers in classes, but also in tier 2, which would be small group support for our English language learners. And for this one, we are recommending that the funds are continued for this activity for next year. And then the third one, the third program evaluation is just really just a minuscule amount out of the Title I funds. And this is to support the uniform distribution to AEA students. And this is LCAP Goal 4, to provide resources and services to actively welcome and increase family engagement across demographics. $700 out of what AEA spends is just a really just minuscule, it's probably not even a decimal point amount. We believe this is a holdover from when this wasn't an important initiative that AEA decided to take on, and something that we value that AEA does. And we even have Veronica here. I love your input, Veronica, for this program evaluation portion. So we just really want to make it clear that we're thankful that this is something that AEA does for our students, and that we are included on some level as an SSC to evaluate it. But we are recommending that Title I funds are not continuing this activity using the Title I budget for this. So that would come out of more of the general fund. Our feeling is it needs to be evidence-based and the most impactful for this disparity that we outlined in our second program evaluation. So, these are recommendations that we are making towards these funds. So, those are the 3 things we're voting on. And it had lots of time to look at that and for your input. And so I just want to see if there are any questions or comments about how it's presenting. And then I'm going to actually ask, before we vote, one thing from all of you that you feel is relevant to this program evaluation. So again, it's not the Megan show. So any questions or clarification needed before we vote from the SSC? Wonderful. So I am going to ask you to just kind of, if there's something in here that speaks to you or you want to highlight or amplify that you think was relevant to the process or our product. Is anybody willing to go first? Go ahead. Thank you, Maria.
I just love this, data point from the summer bridge students. They were able to receive immediate services day one or unfortunately, academic year. Prior to week later, in the previous year.
It's off.
Testing.
All right, can you repeat that again? Because that is
Yeah.
actually a huge celebration.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so I was just saying, I really appreciate the, okay, I'm just saying that I really appreciate the, data point from the summer bridge students. The one that, clarified that received in the 2024-25 academic year, that they were able to receive services on day one this academic year, as opposed to the year prior, which was 6 weeks later. And I think that's a tremendous, I mean, it's a huge success.
Thank you, Maria. I think I'm excited about the continuation of that and the opportunity for us to continue to deepen that particular evaluation and then to track how they continue to improve time as they progress through school. That's really
Thank you, Rachel. Got this one?
I guess along the same lines, being able to track those 6 students who qualified of the new incoming students we had in the summer bridge program against the group that was identified during the actual school year, tracking their attendance, tracking their behaviors, tracking their scores of different standardized tests can be useful. And also you can look at different things, attendance based off of their average classmates in other districts or classmates that didn't go through the summer programs. So that should be, in my opinion, something interesting to look at.
I also want to echo what everyone else said, especially about the assessment, how they received assistance right away. But also the value of this summer bridge program, quote unquote, until we get a name. And how we received the survey too and voice from the students that can tell us what worked and what didn't work. I think that's powerful that the students wanted to be involved.
Yeah, and on our document, we have the questions and we have a folder of how they filled out that survey. And so, you know, it's not, as Rachel would say, statistically significant because it's 15, right?
Yeah.
And then the 3rd through 5th graders, there were 5. But we really view that as a opportunity to hear their voices and just even modeling that is so important in any sort of work that we do, is to make sure we hear the voices of our students, student-centered. So we were able to provide survey questions for all 3 of the evaluations that we did. And so I think that's an important thing to highlight.
I would like to celebrate the process. I think that while the overall program evaluation is not a psychometrically sound document, it represents such an important move to the ideals of shared accountability and shared responsibility for the success of all learners at the PK through 8th grade campus. That we had folks running student voice surveys, a part of the SSC, and also folks who took it upon themselves unpaid extra labor to conduct students' voice surveys without, from outside the SSC, I think is really remarkable. And I want to thank our entire team for coalescing around this document, as imperfectly perfect that it is at this phase one. And it represents our DLAC, it represents leadership, it represents our budget and fiscal wellness. I want to applaud getting those actual figures on uniforms. This is, as someone who has been on the SSC for the last 3 years, this is really remarkable. This process.
Going on the same line as you, I want to commend the process and the team, and also, of course, Ms. Green for spearheading it. It feels very targeted, specific, and measurable, which is the steps that we really needed to go, I think, for this committee. Again, first step at this, so we have more to go, but this is really giving us a good solid base. And it also incorporated DLAC, it aligned with our program needs, it aligned with obviously the Title I funding and ultimately our LCAP. And so I feel that that this group has really kind of been able to hone in and specify the student groups that really need this support. So thank you. Recommendations? Of course.
I like the recommendations, you know, especially like, I love when I see, go for training, you know, training, so I just, for, you know, I just had it right here, the training for the ELD, you know, specialist, just whoever's gonna be in that, gonna do that, like, I think that's important, just the trainings, I like those recommendations.
I think it's really great that 15 of the 17 are new to the school and sixth grade. And I think that says a lot about the reputation and the programs that are offered through AEA. Even though the numbers are small, but I still think a large chunk of that really says a lot.
And any questions from our public about this process? Okay, so I think we're ready. We're gonna vote as one document, so one vote. And so, just so you understand how voting goes, we want to follow a protocol here. This is an action item. It will be accomplished by a roll call vote of the individual current SSC members. Rachel there'll be a motion to approve and a second to the motion, followed by Rachel asking individual SSC members for their vote. Your three choices are ayes, right? Ayes, nays, and abstentions. And we are going to vote on the whole program evaluation. So any further questions or discussions? We'll go ahead and wonderful. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve the local control accountability plan Title I funded program evaluation?
Whoa.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And is there a second to the motion? Thank you, Veronica. Okay, it has been moved by Brian and seconded by Veronica to approve the LCAP Title I funded program evaluation. Secretary Rachel,
Yeah.
can you ask individual members for their vote, please?
Yes. you already motioned it. Second.
I,
You're gonna vote, okay, chairperson, say aye. And I say aye.
all right. So that's everybody. So it has been approved. Thank you so much for all your effort in this process. I think we have something to feel proud about. So just so you know, the next steps, we will present this program evaluation to Dr. Shredda, Superintendent Shredda, and hopefully in March. And you know, again, we are very pleased to be able to do that this year. Okay, so item number 2 is just, you know, it's already been referenced, but one of the beauties I think that Greta kind of spoke to is the process and the idea that we kind of went full circle. We started our first meeting looking at the LCAP, and then from there we did our business, things that we need to do every year, and then the program evaluation, and then this just feeds back into the LCAP. It is, the LCAP would be just how the school is, looks at the funding, state funding and federal funding. Of course, ours is the federal funding, the Title I. And we've already gone over the LCAP goals, but the school now has some metrics that they continue to use in the LCAP process. So, and I believe this is kind of LCAP season. So the fact that we're done in March is really good. Yeah. So that's been a real celebration too. So full circle. Any questions about that? So since this is our last meeting, we want to make sure people are aware of our elections. So I'm not going to go too in depth for the SSC elections, only just to share that we do hold them in the fall. One of the reasons why we hold them in the fall is because we want to give the opportunity to anybody new, any family or parents new to AEA. So TKK, 6th grade, and also just new at any point in the schooling, to have the opportunity to be on the SSC. And that's how we got in. So we're super excited that we have that. It is a 2-year term, and we really just value working together as a learning community, and just really recommend anybody who wants to work in this collaborative environment to consider running for SSC. All the messaging will go out in the fall, and I just want to share that we do have members who have served their terms, and we wanted staggering. We're sort of staggering, but we want to. We're on our way to staggering, so not everybody did it at the same time. So Sarah Peterson has agreed to be the point of contact next year for anybody who's interested in being the SSC. We feel like that's really important to have somebody who's no longer on the SSC, so that there's no conflict of interest. And then I am volunteering myself to help run the election, hopefully with Andrea. We were a great team last year, so I hope to run that. So any questions about the election, or it's going to happen in the fall? I am going to say that we will have 2 parent positions open, and 3 teacher positions, and 1 AEA staff position that will be open. So just first to speak to the parents who have served their term, Sarah Peterson and Maria Horsley. Did I say it right? Yeah, wonderful. We just really appreciate your dedication and the valued contributions the last couple of years on SSC, serving as strong parent voices in our work to support our school community. Your expertise, true expertise, Maria in knowing how to kind of look at data and do research. And then Sarah just being a leader in our community for our children, and especially our English language learners and language learning. It's just been invaluable what you have brought to our SSC. And we are just so grateful that you have served with us, and thank you. So Matt B. and Brian and myself, we have served our terms. And Veronica, all of you, I know it's a strange term, but we did 2 years, some of us 3. And it's really, you know, this opportunity as a school staff member to work with elementary school and middle school staff. I know we're a big school, and there's a lot of discussion about how big we are. And this is where you do it. This is where you make those bridges with the school. And I'm so grateful that you agreed when I asked to join us, Veronica and Brian, and we were voluntold. But just really how you took it on this year. Just really appreciate your time and dedication and commitment to this important collaboration, especially in these hours outside of your school day. So important. And then, of course, Principal Bowders, you as the SSC administrator, you're going to be back maybe, I don't know, you guys might flip a coin next year again. But we have been able to achieve a seamless product and process. And it's really, your help and support is just valuable. And then, of course, Edith, Rachel, and Laura, you have one more year. And Laura's not here. So we just, you know, let us know if you continue to want to serve on the SSC. We are very, very hopeful you will. I'm not going to be on SSC, but I do believe we can run again. But I'm not going to let it go by the wayside. But anyway, I'm here to support you for next year. So, again, just so appreciate your dedication and help with this process. Any comment about that? Anybody leading or any? Oh, yeah, thank you. Life's a good project. I just have somebody say life's about having a good problem to solve. I'd like to do a project. So.
We got another project for you.
Yeah.
You can rearrange the commissary grocery aisles.
Yes, they have. But you know me, I have my list with everything down the aisle. So you ready for that document? Got it. Okay. So that's it for us. We do have this opportunity for public comment. This is the point in our agenda where members of the public may speak to the SMC on any item on our agenda. And we just welcome the opportunity to hear from our community. Any public comment? Nope. Thank you. So our next meeting will be next fall, 2025. If I can just have the SSC members and help just stay for 5 minutes after, because again, I like a good comment. And I have a thank you for you. Don't go. So with that, this meeting is, thank you for attending, and this meeting is adjourned at 5:15. So no slideshows.